was actually personally surprised with the track Ethica Odini. Just because it was a little bit more simplistic, not in a bad way, I'm not trying to trivialize your musicianship, but also more simplistic and a little bit more repetitive than some of your songs had been in the past.
It's probably the most repetitive song we done in 15 years.
Really? You think so?
It is actually,
Yeah.
but it's got a certain feeling of I like one of my favorite bands is Earth. Have you heard that? I mean, that's repetitive stuff. It goes over and over again, and it like crawls into your skin. And actually, it's a step backwards to the older records that we did in the beginning, like these long songs, but
with a higher production value.
Yeah, of course.
It comes out probably more like you wanted it to come out, rather.
And we like put on layers, add more and more details to. It's actually just 3 riffs in the song, and it goes on for like 8 minutes. So but in my point of view, it never gets boring. And I remember when I heard the sketches that Ivar sent me for the songs, with programmed drums and just guitars, and that was probably the easiest song to make arrangements to, because I I just loved it instantly. It reminded me of old Enslaved, of old Master's Hammer, the repetitive, epic feeling all the way along. And I'm really proud of that song actually, and it's really cool. I mean, that's a really cool thought to make 8 minutes of music out of 3 simple riffs.
No, I mean, it was a great song.
It's so simple to play,
I didn't mean to sound like I was downplaying it by describing it in such a way, but it was just like, it hit me as being very different from your other stuff. Cool. And some people would go so far right now as to call your new album your masterpiece. Do you want to listen to people like that? Do you want to think about it in the future? Do you want to live it right now and be like, well, this is what we completed right now, and we're just going to keep trudging forward, doing what we do?
We are searching forward all the time, and I mean, I think people will say the same thing after the next album. I really hope so. They did on Vertebrae, so
so maybe you'll just keep having luck like that. So.
I mean, that's the whole idea of like improvement and development. I mean, releasing an album is like, this is really good. It's almost as good as the one we did in '98. What's the point of doing music then?
Yeah, and I mean,
you have to overdo yourself all the time. Otherwise, there wouldn't be no point. I mean, bands are releasing the same album like
over
15 times.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I actually admire that. I mean, why are they sticking to it? Because
I mean, they really must see something in that, but or they make money with that, but who knows?
I mean, I can understand AC/DC because they still they make the same album over and over again, but it's still good.
Yeah. Well, also with them, like at this point, they're just sort of like, oh well, they're just gonna be around no matter what, until they die.
It's admirable because they have done the same album over again, but it's still good. I mean, we could never do that, so we have to, improve and change.
Well, also you're very progressive.
Yeah, actually,
sorry.
May I ask, some of your longer songs that have billions and billions of riffs, were they improvised in the studio and then you memorized them, or were they written as
most of our stuff are, I would say like 97% of our stuff are written and arranged prior to the recordings. We might change some minor details in the recordings, but everything it's... I mean, we still don't play jazz, it's not improvised. It's still.
But how do you remember all of that information? It's like a Shakespearean play. If the notes were words.
We don't.
You don't.
We actually rehearse prior to the tours,
So I don't do a little bit at a time. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. I can't. Go back. I can't go on stage today and play like the Frost album. Right? I can't do that. We have to, we have to sit down at home and what the hell did we do back then? Okay. It takes a couple of hours and then we can do it. I mean, but we can't remember all that stuff. I mean, we released 11 albums. I mean,
it's just impressive. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, Bonky, I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's fine. You've, as a band, you've almost been around for 20 years.
19 years, yeah.
Well, I said almost, because next year it'll be 20. Now it's 19. But if you were able to go back in time and speak to yourself when you first made this band, and you could say one sentence, not multiple, just one sentence to you when you first started this band, what would that sentence be?
You obnoxious little fuck.
All right.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Now, you're a prog band from Norway. We've discussed this already. But, well, okay, black metal prog. Can you go with that? Black metal prog? Black prog? Blackened prog? Come on, do you want to come up with a new genre for yourself right now?
No, I don't come up with genres. I just I never claimed to be a black metal band.
You have to smack her.
I mean,
yeah, you can hit me.
For us,
it's fine.
I don't hit women, you know.
Oh,
not even guys.
Norwegians have respect for women, unlike Americans.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's true.
We never consider ourselves black metal because in Norway we have a clear definition of black metal being metal with satanic lyrics.
Well, you're certainly not death metal.
No.
Okay, how about this? You're just a metal, progressive metal band from Norway.
I mean, what is progressive? What is prog? Tell me, what do you think prog is?
Communist.
It was at one point.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I mean...
No. I mean, I would say it would be in comparison to progressive bands from the 70s, and you do share a similar sound with them.
Yeah, but if you copy bands from the 70s, that's not progressive, that's regressive.
Well, yeah, it is regressive.
Smacker!
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean...
Just throw your coffee at me. No.
That's not how...
No, I know.
To me, progressive music is simply taking the music one step ahead or out of the frame. Mm-hmm. The progressive rock in the 60s, 70s were like bands like Crimson that made a fusion between jazz and rock, and the Italians band with rock and classical music. They took it a step further, away from the recipe, and that's, for me, that's progressive music is like doing something else than expected. It's very easy. The definition of prog music for me, it's not about being copying Jethro Tull or Genesis. That's not very progressive. That's actually the opposite.
Or just perpetually entering the court of the Crimson King. Yeah. Like no one really wants to do that over and over again. But
would you ever do a cover song of Genesis or Jethro Tull?
If we were good enough musicians, we would. But can you tell me where my country lies?